Alrighty, what have we got today? Well, that. So this movie is a 2013 film that was made for TV, and it is starring Lacey Chabert and don't remember the gentleman's name. But either way, it's about a scarecrow that kills people, right? So I mean, it's got to be good. So, as usual, spoilers. If you haven't seen it and you want to see it, hang tight on watching this. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about some parts of the movie. I mean, it's a made-for-TV movie about a scarecrow that kills people. Like, I'm sure you're probably not going to actually go and look for it, but maybe you are. Who knows? I did, right? So, right. Anyway. So like any cliche horror movie, it starts off with a couple who are trying to do a little scare prank on their friends. They're in a cornfield and they go to this barn and they're like, they have this mask and they're going to jump out and scare their friend. And it's hilarious. And then of course, in proper cliche, they go to have sex because that's what you do. You know, no matter where you are, if you're in a horror movie, your number one concern is going to be having sex with your girlfriend or boyfriend, obviously. So they go to do that in a hayloft, which they're attacked by a scarecrow. Big surprise! Gotta love the intro scenes of these kind of movies. Just whatever. So the bunch of stuff collapses. She falls. Her legs sliced open. The boyfriend's like, "Oh my god!" And then they're dead. Fast forward to a scene in another part of the town, I guess, where there's like a detention field trip, which is that a thing in the States? I have no idea. But anyway, this teacher, Mr. H, Aaron, is getting these kids on the school bus ready to go out to some farm to dismantle a scarecrow for the local Scarecrow Fest, which is apparently an annual thing that they do every year. I guess it's like maybe like a Halloween thing, I'm not sure, but later in the story you find out it's because of this scarecrow thing that happened and like all that jazz. And it's like, so you remember the horrors of whatever, blah, blah, blah. Which obviously they don't, because they turn into like a family fun day and like no one believes the old legend. And you know how it is with these kind of movies. Old legend, no one believes it, but it's real. So anyway, we get our colorful cast of characters. So we have Aaron, aka Mr. H, who's the teacher who's going to be supervising this little adventure. Then we have Tyler and Nikki, I think their names are, which are the certified badasses of this movie. So they're the troublemakers. Like right off the bat, his intro scene is him throwing a can on the ground right beside a recycling bin. Just total rebel, making out in the backseat of the school bus, like complete disregard, standard. Look how cool these kids are type people. Anyway. Fun fact, these two are the two that the two in the intro were planning on scaring, because apparently the whole like backstory of Tyler and Nikki releasing like sex pictures or something like that, or like making fake ones or something, like getting in trouble, so that's why they have a detention or whatever. So there's them. Then there's Calvin, who's like an art student, I guess. He's like an Ed Sheeran looking guy with like a sketch pad, and he's like drawing pictures of some girl he has a crush on or whatever. Then on the bus comes, I think his name's Devin. He's like the jock, because you gotta have a jock, You gotta get all the stereotypes. Then there's the girl who's never had detention before, Maria, who, comes on the thing. And then there's the new girl, Beth. So everyone's on the bus, they're heading to this farm. They all are talking about like the legend and stuff, and the teacher's like, okay, it's a legend, like shut up, we're just here to dismantle the scarecrow, bring it to the festival and set it up again. That's like your detention assignment. The owner of the farm is apparently the original place that the Scarecrow Fest was, but the owner had to sell it or something, I don't know. Anyway, cue Lacey Chabert, whose name is Kristen in this movie. And she has like a convoluted romantic backstory with Aaron, of course. But she is the inheritor of the farm. So her parents owned it, and her grandparents before them owned it, blah, blah, blah. And she is basically selling it now because, she probably needs the money. B, it's a farm. What's she going to do, right? She just came from the big city. Again, a little bit of backstory for her. It was revealed that she like left Aaron to like go pursue her dreams in the city to try to like make something of herself. Evidently it didn't work, so that's cool. And then the truck pulls up, and this guy Eddie's in the truck, and Aaron's all like, for fuck's sake, you brought him? And she's like, yeah. Turns out that he and Aaron were best buds, but when Eddie and Kristen broke up, Aaron swooped in and scooped her off her feet, and then was like a dick to Eddie, rubbing it in his face, and then they were stopped being friends, and just like high school drama stuff. Anyway, whatever. Obviously Kristen is like still friends with him, but she has the feelers for Aaron still. Because at one point she's even like, yeah, I came back because, you know, it didn't work out in the city, but I also came back to see if, you know, us. And it's like, okay, well, seems like a forced moment, but whatever. Anyway, Eddie sees Aaron, and he's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And he goes to start his truck, and this truck doesn't start, so he's stuck there. So he's like, okay, fine, I'll just friggin' help. And she's like, we're all adults here, and then they both snap out of it a little bit, and they're like, alright, fine. Anyway, what happens next? Oh, yeah, so you hear someone screaming help, and then it, like, makes you think, oh god, the Scarecrow struck again, right? No, apparently it's this Calvin kid who was was tied up by the certified badasses of Tyler and Nikki. So he's like on like a Scarecrow pole all tied up, and Aaron, the teacher, comes running up, and he's like, hey, who did this? Was this Aaron? Tyler and Nikki? And he's like, yeah, but I can deal with it. He's like, no, this is ridiculous. So he goes out to find, or they all try to like shout out for Tyler and Nikki, but all of a sudden, like, Beth is like pulled into the corn by something, and it's broad daylight, so they're like, what the hell? Like, if this is like the badasses, this is not a fun prank. She's pulled into the corn, and Kristen runs in after her or whatever, and they all spread out looking for her. So like, she goes one way, Aaron goes another, a couple other kids go another way. They're all looking for Beth, and she finds her, and she's like, it's okay, I got her. But then like, Kristen gets pulled into the corn, so she escapes because, you know, superpowers, I guess, I don't know. And they all end up running to the house, and they're like, okay, so there's like an animal or something out there. What the hell's going on? Of course, one of the kids is like, it's a Scarecrow, and they're like, shut up. It's ridiculous. And then something starts banging on the door, and so they're trying to hold the door, and they're boarding stuff up, and then out of the blue, you see Nikki's body fly partially through a window, and she's dead, and like blood and everything, and then it like rips her out again. And it's like, okay, so they're dead. Clearly, this is not an animal. It is revealed at some point that it's a Scarecrow, because the Scarecrow actually like reveals itself pretty early on, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's one good thing about a TV movie, is you're going to see the creature somewhat soon. For the budget they had, it looked okay. It was passable. So I will say, I think if this movie had a much larger budget, like an actual movie budget, it could have even kept the same actors. That's fine. Like they weren't all phenomenal or whatever. The guy who played Aaron was okay, and Lacey was okay, but like the kids, they were just like probably new actors. But I mean, you could have even kept them. Like, it didn't matter. It's kind of consequential, and it could have been a neat movie, like a theatrical release. Like, again, if they had the budget, make it not look as CG as it did, and all that kind of stuff, and maybe redrafted some of the lines and scenes and stuff, because there were a lot of scenes in this where they like split up and stuff, and I know that's like a thing that happens in every horror movie, but it just seems like it doesn't make sense. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, back to what's going on. So they're arguing about it being a Scarecrow and whatnot, and Calvin and the new girl Beth are like bonding and becoming friends, and she's like, I need someone I can trust and whatever, and so they like find each other, and then like Devin goes upstairs, and he's like flirting with what's her name, Maria, who's trying to get like a better cell signal, because there's no cell signal out there apparently. So that's good times. At some point, Devin goes and finds supplies in the basement, and one of them is like a shotgun he brings up. He's like, here, I got this. This'll work. So yeah, they whatchamacallit, they all think, okay, well, let's get to the bus and let's get the hell out of here. And it's like, nope, apparently Nikki took the bus keys to get her phone out of the glove compartment, and she's dead and somewhere in a field now, so we don't have a bus. And they're like, okay, well, can we use Eddie's truck? And Eddie's like, well, I mean, if I can get it started, yeah, but at the same time, there are only like, it's only like the cab of a truck, so we can get maybe 4 at the most in the cab, and the back is open, like there's no protection, so and we got to drive through like this road with cornfield on either side. It's not gonna work. So Aaron's like, okay, I'll go take the truck, and Eddie's like, no, I'll take it. It's my truck. They argue about that crap, and then while they're arguing about who's gonna be the hero, Calvin decides to go out and start the truck. So no, Calvin. Anyway, Calvin dies because obviously, right? So he can't start the truck. Scarecrow grabs him and is like, kills him, whatever. Kristen, quick thinking, Molotovs the area, which unfortunately the Scarecrow survives, and it hits the truck too, so the truck is now on fire. So that's phenomenal, right? Good times. Good times. Truck ends up exploding from the fire, which obviously someone called the cops when they hear the explosion. Cops show up. Cop gets killed because that's how it works. They end up taking the cop car and driving off. So now who do we have? Now we have Kristen, Eddie, Aaron, Beth, Maria. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Devin gets killed too. So while they're in the house or whatever, they go back in the house to get the cop keys, because it pulls the cop into the house, and they're like, well, instead of let's just run, let's go get the cop keys and have a car. So, which doesn't make a difference anyway later. At which point in the house, the Aaron is like grabbed by the Scarecrow, and friggin' Devin rushes in with a shotgun to play hero and like shoots the Scarecrow, and he's like, I think I got it. And then obviously he's dead. It kills him. So yeah, it's just the 5 of them remaining as they're driving down the road. And somehow, like, after like miles of driving, the Scarecrow catches up with them and like is in the middle of the road, and Eddie like crashes into it and hits a tree, and they're like, good, I think we killed it. And he's like, that's not the only thing I killed. And he looks down and he's like, he's gonna be dead. Like the accident killed him. So Scarecrow comes, there's like a leak under the car, and it's trying to kill everyone. And Eddie does the whole heroic self-sacrifice thing of there's a fuel leak under the car, so he like zippos it, and boom, that explodes also. So Eddie's dead. Scarecrow, not so much. It survived that also, so that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, further down the road, like Beth and Maria have taken off at this point. So they're like, they turn when they hear the explosion. Holy fuck. Aaron and Kristen are running after them slowly to catch up. Eventually they do meet up, and apparently Beth had found like this old farmhouse and whatnot, and so she's in the farmhouse waiting, and the other 3 are gonna go meet up. Turns out it's like a farmer that Kristen knows, like some old guy who, they're knocking on the door, no one's answering, so they need a phone. They decide to B&E, because, I guess in a life and death situation, what's gonna be worse, like an evil Scarecrow demon or like a mad farmer, right? So anyway, mad farmer shows up with a shotgun. He's like, what the f are you doing? Breaking into my house? And then she's like, turns out like they kind of like know each other. He's like, Kristen Miller? She's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, fuck, Scarecrow time. And she's like, what? Yeah, I mean, how did you... And then he's like, I'm not sticking around for this. Your family is cursed, blah, 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 blah. They tried to bury it like 100 years ago, your family did. And if it got out, I'm not going to be anywhere near you. And at which point he hears his dog from outside, obviously being attacked. So he goes to investigate it. And he is snooping around, and they're like, okay, well, we can maybe find a car or something of his, like we can use like his truck or something. How did he die again? Well, anyway, the Scarecrow gets the old man, so it doesn't matter how he dies even at this point. But like the Scarecrow like comes out his mouth and stuff, like it uses his arm, I guess it stabs through his back and it comes out his mouth, so it's a little bit gory, which that kind of creepy stuff is always a fun death in a movie, so that was appreciated. Yeah, so he's dead. They find a combine, so you know where this is going right away, right? The combine. I mean, first thing I thought of, okay, probably no one played this, but there's an old N64 game called Body Harvest where you time travel, whatever, and there's one part where you get in a combine and you're running over zombies. So right away I'm like, okay, well, they're going to use this to run over the Scarecrow. Like, makes complete sense. Anyway, prior to that, sorry, Beth had a little hissy fit and was blaming Kristen and saying, like, it's your fault that everyone's dead, blah, blah, and she stormed off. So it's now Maria and... Oh yeah, that happened at the house, sorry. Right after the farmer takes off, she storms off. So it's just Maria, Kristen, and Aaron now. And Beth's gone, they can't find her, whatever. And they find the Combine and they're starting it and it works and everything's good. And then you hear Beth screaming for help and she's calling Kristen for some reason. I don't know. So Kristen obviously runs off to find her, and Maria's like trying to tell Aaron, like, she just ran off to go find Beth, and the Combine's really loud so we can't hear her, and he gets up, and by then it's like too late essentially. Kristen's already like way off in the distance, and she finds Beth and helps her up and grabs Beth's hand, and they're gonna go run, and then that's when Beth decides to put a knife to her throat. So it's like, listen, you died, the Scarecrow fucks off. And she's trying to explain, like, no, you have to bury it. Like, my death is not gonna stop it. You have to bury it. But it's after you. Yes, but that won't stop it. Like, I'm the primary I'm the John Connor, but it's not programmed to shut down like the Terminator after that. It'll just keep going. Like, there's a little nursery rhyme at the beginning too that's like something that you have to keep it buried every August or something because it wakes up. I don't know. But anyway, she doesn't get the message despite Kristen's attempts to explain that. But gets grabbed by the thing anyway. Aaron sees it before it grabs her or whatever, and he like puts like a hook on it that's like attached to the Combine. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna drag this thing in and shred it. But just as the chain starts getting pulled into the Combine, the Scarecrow grabs Beth, yoinks her, and they both go into the Combine. So Beth is like confetti and mist. So that's what you get, right? I mean, don't be a little shithead like that and putting knives on people's throats who are trying to help you. But anyway, Beth's toast. So it's just the three of them. I guess they give up on the Combine now because I guess it shuts down because the chain goes in it and breaks the engine or something. Whatever. So they take off. But stupidly, they're like, okay, Aaron and Kristen are like, okay, we're going to go find, there's a motorcycle in the shed. We're going to go see if it works. You wait here. Yeah, wait by where the Scarecrow is. That's genius. So that happens. Great teacher. Yeah, really looking out for your students. Literally all of them, but this one is dead. So good job. Anyway, they come back and they're like, yeah, the motorcycle doesn't work. At which point, the Scarecrow grabs her leg and like slices it. Grabs Maria's leg and slices it. And so they run again. And they're like running through the trees and whatnot, and Kristen's like, listen, I can run faster than you guys. You help her, she's injured. I'm gonna go run and distract it. It wants me, so it's gonna go after me. It'll give you time to get out of here. And they're like, no, but she's like, fuck off, I'm doing it. So she does. She runs off, she's trying to lure it, and she does this, a smart but kind of cruel and unfortunate thing where she slices her hand and like puts her blood on some cattle to like lure it. And yeah, as she's running away, you can hear cow is being like, killed by this Scarecrow thing. I guess it is attracted to her blood or something. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But poor cowies. Aw. Anyway, she's like, okay, we're gonna go meet down by the river. And so they do. And they, you know, Maria's getting in rougher and rougher shape. And so Kristen's like, okay, let's get her on your back. And we can go like that, you can carry her or whatever. And he's like, okay, so helps Maria up on her back, and then all of a sudden this blade comes flying right through Maria, so she's dead now and like is embedded into like Aaron's back, who falls. And it's like, oh my god, get it out, ouch. So she pulls it out. It's somewhat superficial, so I mean, he's able to function. I guess it didn't hit any organs or anything, but definitely went through some ribs or something. Didn't hit his spinal cord, so he's able to walk, which is lucky. Luck of the Irish there. And they take off. They end up on a beach area for like a lake, and it turns out that like further down the beach is like an old boat graveyard. So they're gonna go see what they can find there and try to get on the lake. Assuming this thing can't go in the water. We don't know if it can or can't, but that's the theory that they have. They've tried everything else, so it's worth a shot. They find this old ferry and there are some lifeboats strung up on it. So they're like, okay, we're gonna use a lifeboat. That's brilliant. Let's do this. And they do. So he goes and he sees a guard booth with like a radio or whatever, and he sees like a figure of a guy in there. He's like, oh my god, there's a guard. I'm gonna go radio. And they split up again because why not? It's worked out so well so far. So she goes onto the boat to try to get the lifeboat down. He goes to the guard, who has been killed very gruesomely. Like, his face is ripped off. It's the practical effects were pretty cool for this part, I will say. Anyway, he tries the radio, it doesn't work, so whatever. And then he looks and he sees the shadow of the Scarecrow sneaking up inside the boat area where Kristen is. So that's good. So he runs to try to catch up, try to warn her. She can't hear her. She's already in the boat now. She finds like a fire axe thing, so she breaks the glass and takes that out as like some kind of protection. I mean, you gotta use what you got, right? Probably won't do anything, but anyway. The Scarecrow ends up finding her and whatnot, and Aaron finds her at the same time and tackles the Scarecrow off the side of the railing of the ferry into the water, and bloosh, they're underwater, and she's like, oh my god, she's having a little breakdown there, thinking, okay, he's dead. That's not good. So she finds him later on as she goes down to like where they are, and his body's there. I guess he survived, but he's like in rough shape, like he's just gasping. Yeah, she's drawn to him like moaning and groaning and stuff, so he's alive somehow. So she's ecstatic. She goes to his side, clearly like you can tell there's still like the feelers inside and whatnot. She's like, oh my god, are you okay? Let me help you out. And then he's trying to say something and he finally spits out. He's like, what? And he's like, what? Scarecrow claw bursts out of Aaron's chest. So there you go, your sweetheart's fucking dead now. That's good times. And she's like, that's the last straw. She's not into this anymore. She's right fucking pissed. She's like, okay, I'm gonna kill this damn Scarecrow. This is ridiculous already. So she ends up breaking a fuel line or whatever in the ferry, which apparently still had fuel in it. Obviously, they didn't do a very good job cleaning out this ferry because there's still fuel in it. The area where you put cars in, there's still cars in it. So I mean, they did not. This abandoned little boat graveyard is pretty environmentally unfriendly. But anyway, I don't think the Scarecrow gives a shit about that. I don't think Kristen gives a shit about that. So anyway, we'll progress. Cuts the fuel line. Scarecrow's about to lunge at her. She hits the fire axe on like some metal, causing sparks. Does it a couple times. Finally, engulfed in flames. Whatever. She's climbing up a little fire escape hatch thing with like a, on a submarine where you turn the hatch and you can close it and whatnot. She's climbing up one of those. Scarecrow's following her, is pulling her. She's slipping a couple times. She does eventually get out. Scarecrow pops out of the top. She like kicks it back in and slams the thing. Turns the little wheel, locking it in there. Bolts, and then boom, ferry explodes. And she's the only survivor of the entire like detention field trip. Her two exes, her farmer friend, her cop friend, all of them are dead. She's good though. Is the Scarecrow dead? It is implied that it is. So roll credits, I guess, because that's what you do in a TV movie. You wrap it up quickly and you go. And that was it. So yeah, lone survivor Kristen. Now, keeping in mind that it's a TV movie, how am I going to rate this? Well, I can't use the fact that it's a TV movie that has a low budget in its favor. I don't think that's fair to the other movies, so I'm going to rate it as it is. And as it is, it was better than it had any right to be, but it wasn't exactly good, if that makes sense. I'm going to give it a 6.23. 6.23. I think that's reasonable. I mean, it is what it is. If it had a bigger budget and could have had maybe a little couple script rewrites and better, digital graphic effect thingies and whatnot. The practical effects were great. They could have just used more practical effects too, and it would have been better. But again, TV movie. They had what they had. They did what they could with it. It's passable. It's a fun little watch. It's the whole thing is actually on YouTube. Someone uploaded the full movie, so you can watch it commercial free too, I think, on YouTube. It's a 2023 Scarecrow movie if you do want to find it. The quality of the The video is not phenomenal, but it's enough for what this kind of movie is. It's good enough. Doesn't really matter. All in all, I would say, yeah, watch it. It's fun. I mean, it has Lacey Chabert, who's like a Hallmark movie queen now. Like, she was in, I think, like Melrose Place or something. I never watched that. The first time I saw her was in like Lost in Space, that movie reboot with like Joey Tribbiani as the captain and stuff and whatever. That was fun. But yeah, she's apparently in like Hallmark movies. When I found out she's in a horror movie, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this. Anyway, that was it. Very, very simplistic TV movie. And that's all I got. Enjoy.